And for more on these political money matters, I'm joined by author and global strategist Haiyan Wang. She's also a managing partner at the China-India Institute. Welcome back to the show. What do you make of this turnaround that President Trump decided he won't label China a currency manipulator, as he said he would do even days before his meeting with President Xi?
Yeah, I think that right now people are not too surprised by the turning around. On the currency manipulation on this one, I think that this is a logical, facts-based conclusion, because even by the Treasury Department's own definition of designating a country a currency manipulator, you have to meet three conditions. On the first condition of China having a very large trade surplus of nearly $350 billion, yes, China met that condition. But on the second condition of the current account balance to be over 3% of China's GDP, certainly China does not meet that condition. And on the third condition of China having to spend nearly 2% of its output to buy US dollar assets to pop up to pop up dollars to drive down yuan, certainly that's not the case. So logically, there's no case, and there's no evidence to label China a currency manipulator. I think also this reflects a general shift of the Trump administration from a very extreme campaign rhetoric to more to the centrist, to more governing from a results-based, more moderate approach. And I think the market probably welcomed that change.
Perhaps he's learning that governing is different than just speaking and making promises.
Indeed.
Because some analysts are wondering if Trump was perhaps trying to make a deal somehow with President Xi in talks regarding this, or maybe, as you mentioned, it's because the currencies are actually stable as well.
Yeah, I think that you probably, given the current atmosphere of having a lot more acute issues, such as denuclearization of the peninsula, Korean peninsula, it gets factored in. But even without that consideration, I think that just there's no case to label China as a currency manipulator. International Monetary Fund has analyzed the currency move and even called that China the value has reached equilibrium, that yuan is no longer devalued. And I think that regardless whether it's out of a strategic intent or just out of fact-based analysis, there's no case of labeling China a currency manipulator. Actually, on the contrary, were it to be labeled a currency manipulator, I don't think that the U.S. economy will benefit at all.
One other thing that came up during this meeting last week in Florida was this mechanism to address trade, because trade was another issue that was very hotly discussed by Donald Trump. So 100 days to look at trade between the U.S. and China. Just your thoughts on that, and how will that sort of provide the foundation for where these two countries move ahead when it comes to economics?
I think that when the broad picture is that the world's largest economy and the second largest economy will cooperate a lot more, then the two economies will become even more integrated, whether it's on trade front or on the investment front. Now, more specifically, you mentioned about the 100 days plan, what could come out. And I think the number one issue is on reaching a more balanced trade. Politically, I think the Trump administration has to do something, and then they're going to use the time to really look at more specifically at the sectors level, at the product level, to see where exports from China could be reduced, where imports from the U.S. side could be reduced. I think that down the road, I do see the trade deficit with China could be reduced. For one, that China's consumption power is continuing to increase, and China's cost, being it labor wages or being it environmental cost or the cost of land, cost of utility, and cost of enforcing stricter safety and environmental standards, a lot of these will, over time, reduce the cost advantage that China has been enjoying in the past decade or two. So, and the consumption power of China will demand more products from the U.S. And I do also see on the service trade front that U.S. probably will continue to increase its trade on their service front to increase their surplus. More importantly than trade is perhaps the discussion around investment. If they could lay out a specific plan for accelerating conclusion of the bilateral investment treaty, that would be a real progress. And there, I think that the two sides have more interest, can come to more consensus, perhaps more easily for equal access to both markets.
We'll have to see how that goes. Haiyan Wang, thank you. We always appreciate your perspective. Thank you for joining us.